Good evening. Welcome, and thank you for coming out tonight to this beautiful new Duluth Branch Library. I hope you're enjoying looking around.
Yes.
My name is Merwin Chambers. I'm treasurer of the Friends of the Gwinnett County Public Library. If you're not a member, I certainly hope you'll become a member. You can join tonight and get a free mug, or you can join us online. Tonight we are partnering with the Duluth Fine Arts League. The DFAL is committed to the arts, including literary arts. The league has selected Mary Kay Andrews as the 2021 Duluth Reads author. The league sponsored the refreshments I hope you're enjoying tonight. Leave the chocolate for my wife. Mary Kay's books are for sale and signing thanks to our independent bookstore partner, Eagle Eye Books.
Yay.
Signed copies of Mary Kay's latest book are for sale, as well as some of her other books, and we thank Eagle Eye for their support. Tonight's silent auction supports the Friends of the Gwinnett County Public Library. Successful bidders will be announced at the close of the program tonight. The winner of the door prize sponsored by the library will be announced at the end of the program also. This program is being filmed, and you'll be able to watch it on the library's YouTube channel in a few weeks. Mary Kay Andrews is a New York best-selling author of 27 novels and one cookbook, the Beach House Cookbook. I know that many of you wouldn't dream of going to the beach without taking one of her books with you. She's a former journalist with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and Mary Kay lives in Atlanta, Georgia. She's with us tonight to talk about her newest book, The Santa Suit. Please join me in welcoming Mary Kay to the stage.
Well, it turns out I'm double mic'd, so you might have to lean back in your chairs if I'm too loud. Is it okay? Is the sound all right? Great. It's so good to be here tonight. Thank you all so much for coming. I really never, on a Saturday night, I think, well, people must have something better to do than to listen to me, but I'm glad you didn't have anything better to do than to come listen to me. The Santa Suit, my new novel, I never intended to write, I have to tell you. So, horrible things happened with this pandemic, but a little bit of good came out of it. And for me, the good happened in March of 2020. I had 4 other author friends. We all had spring, summer books about to come out. And of course, once everything went on lockdown, our publishers pulled the plug on our book tours. I was supposed to have a 6-week book tour for Hello Summer, and that got canceled. So my friends and I were moaning about it, and I said, well, what we're going to do. How could we promote our books? And we also wanted to help promote independent bookstores like Eagle Eye, who's here tonight selling my books. And so I said, well, I have a pro Zoom account. Let's get on a Friday night rosé happy hour and talk about what we could do. And so we did. And after we quit moaning, we decided why not do a Zoom to Facebook Live talk about books. And the plan was we will do it Wednesday night. We'll talk about each of our books. Each of us will pick an independent bookseller to link to. And because I had the biggest Facebook following, we said, well, we'll do it from my Facebook page. So we decided to do it Wednesday nights. I can't remember why. Maybe because it's hump day. And we decided to call it Friends in Fiction because I like alliteration. So we did that, and I honestly did not believe anyone would watch. In fact, if you look at our first Friends in Fiction episode 1, I'm in my pajamas. I'm in my purple satin pajamas. And you can see my daughter Katie, who was running tech, crawling out of camera range. That is how little we knew about what we were doing. But to our astonishment, people did watch. And we really thought, well, we'll do it for 6 weeks, the COVID will be over, and we'll all go back out on book tour, and the world will get back to normal. And God laughed. So we thought, we'll keep going. And it took off beyond anything we could have anticipated. You know, we were astonished when we hit 5,000 members of Friends in Fiction on Facebook. And then we hit 10. We decided very quickly, let's have other author guests on to talk about their books and their stories. And so for our first guest, we picked a nobody. Her name was Kristen Hanna, you know, who wrote The Nightingale and The Four Winds and Firefly Lane. And it just took off from there. So we will have our 100th episode in November, and we will have one of your favorites, Ellen Hildebrand, will be our guest that night. And so we are astonished. We are at 51.7 thousand last time I checked. So all of that said, we decided we would have a summit meeting last November at Ebb Tide, our beach house on Tybee Island. So Mary Alice Monroe came from South Carolina. Patty Callahan Henry came from Alabama. Christy Woodson Harvey came from North Carolina. And Kristen Harmel came from Florida. And of course, I was here in Georgia. And we started talking about how we would go forward and our plans. And somebody said, well, I think we should write a Christmas anthology. All of us write a Christmas short story. And I said, no, I am not writing a Christmas story. Not doing it. I have a book due. I'm not writing a Christmas story. And I'm not good at short stories. You know, I write big, rambling, complicated stories. And an idea of trying to keep to a short story is torture to me. It's really a very, it's a very different skill set and not one I feel like I'm good at. So that was said, everybody got in their cars and drove home. But when I was driving back to Atlanta, something started nibbling at my brain. And I got the idea for a story called The Santa Suit. And you know, if you're driving up 16 at night, there's nothing to do. My mind started rambling, and I called Patty Henry, and I said, Patty, I have an idea for a Christmas book. I'm going to call it The Santa Suit. And she said, well, everyone else is going to be really pissed at you because you said you weren't going to do that. And I said, I know. And so when I got home, I started writing in secret. I did not tell my editor. I did not tell my literary agent. And I have not written a book on spec in 30 years. I write books under contract. And this book was not only was it not contracted, it wasn't even thought about in New York. But The Santa Suit is about a young woman. She's living in Atlanta. Her name is Ivy Perkins. And she's named after our dog, Ivy. Do any of you follow me on Facebook or Instagram? So then you've seen the pictures of our beautiful English setter princess, Ivy. So Ivy Perkins has come out of kind of a bruising divorce. And she's ready for a do-over. She decides she's going to change her life completely. She sells her share of the marketing business that she's been running with her now ex. She sells it to him. She sells her home. She goes online and she has an idea. She wants to live in an old white farmhouse out in the country. So she finds one in the mountains of North Carolina. And she buys it without ever seeing it. And the week before Christmas, she packs up her car and her dog, Pumpkin Perkins. I told you I like alliteration. She and Pumpkin arrive at Four Roses Farm the week before Christmas. And Ivy has decided Christmas isn't coming this year. She's going to keep her head down and pretend it's not happening. But when she pulls into the driveway of this beat-up old farmhouse, and it is not what she thought it was. It needs a lot of work. And there's a strange man standing in the driveway. And she says, can I help you? And he says, yes, I'm your real estate agent, Ezra. And of course, she's been dealing with this agent online, and she pictured Ezra to be an 80-year-old man in a bow tie and a sweater vest. But this is not that Ezra. This is hot real estate agent Ezra. And Ezra gives her the keys to the house, and they go in, and to her surprise, she knew she was buying the house from an estate, that the previous owners had passed away some time ago, and the house was being sold by their son-in-law. But she didn't realize it was coming fully furnished with what she thinks of as dowdy old lady furniture. And she's got her own furniture coming on a truck, so she decides she'll give it all away. And she goes in the closet into the bedroom because she wants to unpack her clothes, and even the closet is full of the previous owner's old lady clothes. So she's thrown them on the floor to give to charity. And she looks up on the top shelf of the closet, and there is a beautifully wrapped box. It's wrapped in Christmas paper, and she takes it down and she opens up the box, and inside she finds a lovely vintage red velvet Santa suit, and it's lined with satin and it's beautiful. And Ezra explains to her that the four Roses who owned the farmhouse, that was Bob and Betty Ray Rose, and they were Mr. and Mrs. Claus for this community, this little mountain community, for 40 years. And every year they decorated their house with thousands and thousands of lights, and everyone would come from miles around to see these beautiful Christmas lights. And then Bob and Betty Ray played Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. They played him for the children's home and for the citywide Christmas parade, and he played Santa Claus in the department store for 40 years. So this is Santa Bob's velvet Christmas suit. And Ivy's not real interested in that either. And Ezra leaves. After he's left, she's putting the Santa suit back in the box, and she hears the crinkle of paper. And she reaches into the pocket of the jacket, and she pulls out a note. And the ink is faded, and the handwriting is childish. And it says, "Dear Santa, my mommy is sad all the time. All I want for Christmas is for you to bring my daddy home from the war. Signed, your friend, Carlette." And of course, Ivy is intrigued. Who is Carlette? Did her daddy come home from the war? And why did Santa, out of all the thousands of letters he must have gotten over the years, why did he keep this note? So she starts off on a quest to find the answers to these questions. And even though she has no intention of letting Christmas into her heart this year, it kind of slowly creeps in. She finds herself making friends in the community. When she goes to the courthouse to see if she can find out anything about Carlette, she meets a young woman whose name is Phoebe. She's one of the city clerks. And Phoebe tells her she knows the answers to some of these questions. And so they become friends. And Phoebe has her own situation. And you know, people always ask me where I get the ideas for my stories. Phoebe, they go to breakfast together, and Phoebe confides in Ivy that she's engaged and she's getting married very soon. And her fiance, she's met online, and he's in the Army, and he's dashing and handsome, and she shows Ivy a picture of him from his Instagram profile. And they've never met in person. They've been corresponding, and he's been deployed. He's in the service. And of course, it turns out that all is not what it seems. Phoebe has not really been honest with her fiance about who she is. And I got the idea from that. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I always get these creepy guys wanting to be my friends on Instagram. And they're always flight surgeons, or I just got one on the way here, and it's a guy, and it was a totally fake picture, and it says he's an entrepreneur. I guess his entrepreneur means I follow lonely women online and try to bilk them. So the idea for that little plot in the story came directly from social media. And so when I set out to write this story in secret, one of the other good things COVID did in my life there was nothing to do, and there was nowhere to go. So every night I put my laptop on my nightstand, and no later than 7 o'clock every morning, sometimes much earlier depending on how I've slept, I grab my laptop and I start writing. I attack the story before the day can attack me. And so last November, after I got home from our summit meeting in Tybee, I propped myself up in bed and I put myself in the world of this book. And you know, it was dark when I started writing every morning. All I had was the glow from my laptop. And I thought of myself as being in a snow globe. You know, those beautiful snow globes, and they have little picturesque villages and homes and trees. And that's the world I put myself into. I put myself into the world of Four Roses Farm and Ivy's world. And I had some very specific things I wanted to do with this Santa suit. We'd been through such a dark time, and we didn't know when we were going to come out of it. We still really haven't. I mean, I've got my mask right here. I wanted to bring some light into a dark time. I wanted to write a story that would bring my readers joy and bring a smile to their face. So there's some mystery in this book, but I promise you there's no corpses. And there's some romance because Ezra is not bad. And there's a dog because I love dogs. And that's a little bit about what the Santa suit is about. And so it came out this past Tuesday. And I've just been on the road. In fact, I drove back this afternoon from Wetumpka, Alabama. And it's been fun it's a new bookstore in the little town of Wetumpka. I'm not saying it right, it's Wetumpka, right? Wetumpka. Anyway, it's a town that if you watch HGTV, the Ben and Erin Napier from the show Hometown, their program, HGTV, took applications from 7,000 towns all across America. And Wetumpka, I guess, put in a great application to get a do-over. Because this sleepy little half-dead town is now, it's amazingly revitalized. And it's a tourism spot now. And the bookstore is called Sweet Home. And it's in an old barber shop. And they were telling me the story about the courthouse used to be across the street. And the bookstore owner today said, this is the bullet hole. And I said, bullet hole? And she said, yes, back in the 20s, this was actually a dentist's office. And the sheriff and the dentist did not get along. So one night, the dentist was locking up his office, and the sheriff stepped out and shot him from across the street and killed him. So that was a story from Sweet Home Bookstore. I am working on next summer's book. In fact, I was supposed to have handed it in by now, but the Santa suit kind of got in my way. But that'll be out, God willing, in May. And it takes place in Savannah and on Tybee. And it's about a young woman. She's a contractor. She's in business with her father-in-law. And she gets cast in a television reality fixer-upper kind of show. So the book is called The Homewreckers, and if all goes well, I'll finish it real soon. Do you all have questions for me? Yes, right here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
In December, I'm going to moderate the book.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I know. One for the library and one for mine. I want to know if I want to ask my reader one question, what would you suggest for that question?
After they've read the book, let's see. Well, I think a question is, Ivy does something pretty crazy for her. She is not a person who acts on impulse. And so I think it's interesting to ask people if they have done something totally out of character in their lives on just a wild impulse. You're welcome. Anybody else? We're not in church, y'all. You can ask questions. Yes.
Will you join that virtual book club?
I
meeting?
don't, I guess if she sends me the link, if I have time. Thank you.
December 21st.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, I don't know where I'll be December 21st. I hope I'll be sipping cocoa under our tree. Yes.
Is Callahan Garrity going to make any more appearances?
You know, I never do a library event that someone doesn't ask me about Callahan Garrity. For those of you who aren't from the way back, I started my fiction career writing a mystery series about a character named Callahan Garrity. And I did 8 of those books, and I'm very proud of them, and they're still all in print, actually. And I'm sure the library has them, and you can still, and they have now been rebranded as being by Mary Kay Andrews, because my real name, I wrote them under my real name, which is Kathy Hogan Trocheck. And then when I wrote Savannah Blues, my publisher went back and reissued them. So they're all available, and you can order them from great bookstores like Eagle Eye Books. I don't know if Callahan's coming back, to tell you the truth. I never say never. But you know, Callahan's mother, Edna, was largely based on my mom, Sue, who's been gone about 14 years. And I don't know if I can write Callahan without my mother whispering in my ear, telling me what to do, because she was good about that. Somebody else. Yes.
The remodel that you were doing in the Squirrel Hollow, is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, the other thing we did during COVID was we built a garage with a carriage house above it, and that's Squirrel Hollow.
Where you found the pictures.
Oh, now you're thinking about Coquina, because we don't just sit around, y'all. My husband, who's back over there pretending not to know me, gets dragged into my crazy schemes. So last December, right before Christmas, I guess it was, we bought another fixer-upper cottage on Tybee Island. It's a 1935 house, and it was a duplex until we bought it. So we set out remodeling it last winter, and we spent most of the winter back and forth between home and Tybee. And we call the cottage Coquina, and it's named after the cottage in Sunset Beach. We have 3 vacation rental houses on Tybee, and they're all named after houses in my books. So it turns out we had real bad termite and water damage in the back wall of the existing old bathroom. And so when the contractors went to tear it out, they found down between the wall joists an old woman's billfold. And it had been in there since 1954. And we're not quite sure how it got in there. But the contractors brought it to me, and I looked, and it had the woman's driver's license, her social security card, her military ID card. It had family pictures, picture of her husband, who obviously was a sailor in the Navy. And so that night, I looked up her name and found that she'd passed away some years earlier, but I saw the names of her surviving children. And so I put on Facebook that these were, took a picture of the wall that I think, and I said, here's what we're trying to find. And by morning, I had emails from both of her children. And so they eventually came up to Tybee and saw the house. It turned out their mother and father lived in the downstairs duplex, part of the duplex, just for a year. He was at sea with the Navy, and she was back on Tybee, and had a baby that was not quite a year old. And the son told me that she was quite a wild woman. And so every night when her husband was at sea, she was hanging out at the bar, at Doc's Bar, which is the original dive bar on Tybee. And he said, people on the island said, you would see my mom down at the end of the bar with my brother in a stroller. It's like that movie, Sweet Home Alabama. There's a baby in a bar. But we still don't know. Anyway, that story, the news, 2 different television stations in Savannah contacted us. One came out and did a piece about it. And then they came back after the son and daughter came to, I wanted them to have their mom's wallet. And I've never seen a response to anything I've ever done on social media before like that. You know, over 1,000 comments and questions. So that sparked a plot for the homewreckers. So yes, the wallet in the wall will make an appearance in the homewreckers. And I,
Wasn't Carlette?
oh, no, no. I can't tell you about Carlette. Anyway, that'll figure prominently in the homewreckers. Any other questions? Yes, in the back.
Would you mind talking a little bit about Friends in Fiction?
Yes, I will talk more about Friends in Fiction. So we started out Friends in Fiction, and I told you that our first official guest, the first episode, we number it as April 3rd, I think, and it just took off. And what it is Mary Alice has stepped away. She's got a lot of other obligations. So there's 4 of us now. And every week, every Wednesday night on our Facebook page, we do a live webcast and we interview authors about their books and what they're reading. We always ask them for a writing tip, how their lives, how books influence their lives as young people and how they ended up as writers. I'm telling you, 90% of the time, our guests, our best-selling guests say it's because my parents took me to the library. 90% of them say my love of writing and reading happened at the library, which is really great to hear. So you can watch it every Wednesday night. You can watch it live or watch it later. We start at 7 o'clock. You can also watch it. We have a YouTube channel, Friends in Fiction on YouTube. We have a podcast called the Friends in Fiction Writer's Block podcast. And this week's Writer's Block, the new episodes drop every Friday. And you can listen to them wherever you listen to podcasts. And it's me being interviewed about the Santa suit. So a little bit about the background about the Santa suit and my love for Christmas and vintage Christmas. Our home in Avondale, we're in our 3rd house in Avondale now. I think we've been on tour maybe 4 times in 3 different houses. So, and then we have a book club. There's a Friends in Fiction official book club where folks, we do each of us take a turn, and the book club, we ask questions. It's a Zoom live on Facebook too. And even if you're not watching the program, it's a huge online community of readers. And people tell each other what they're reading, and they tell people about, oh, there's a Goodreads giveaway for so-and-so's book. So it's really a great place. If you're a devoted reader, and I know you all must be if you're here, check out Friends in Fiction. Join us on Facebook and watch the shows. We have had Sue Monk Kidd. We have had Delia Owens, Where the Crawdads Sing. We've had Ellen Hildebrand, Kristen. We've had Kristen on twice. We've had, I'm still listening to William Kent Kruger's This Tender Land. We had Wiley Cash on a couple weeks ago. His new book I just finished listening to today, When Ghosts Come Home, which is a beautiful work of Southern fiction. It's a kind of a gothic mystery, takes place on Oak Island off the coast of North Carolina. We've had the crazy, insane Karen Slaughter. So if you like thrillers, you must watch Karen's shows because we never know what she's going to do. This year we were prepared for her. We were prepared. The first time she came on the show, she came on wearing a pirate's hat and had a stuffed parrot on her shoulder. So we thought we were prepared, but you're never really fully prepared with Karen Slaughter. We've had Emily Giffen, so we've tried really hard to be diverse. So we've had maybe some authors you haven't heard about or that are going to be huge. We had Britt Bennett, whose bestseller was The Vanishing Half, and that's going to be a movie, I don't know if it's a movie or a Netflix series, but we've had Britt Bennett. We've had Nancy Johnson, The Yellow Wife. We've had a great local author whose name is Vanessa Riley. She wrote a historic fiction, a big historic fiction novel called Island Queen, and and just, you know, all kinds of authors. We've had Lisa C., and we've got so many interesting, fun things coming up. We're going to have the cookbook author from North Carolina. Pardon me? Vivian, no. We have had, yeah, we've had Natalie. We're having Vivian Howard on for the Thanksgiving show. And we'll be talking turkey, just a hint. Apparently, I'm going to do a stint on the Butterball Turkey hotline. Which will be fun because my husband cooks the turkey. So I'll be sure to get some tips from him. Anybody else? Yes?
Being an Atlanta author, did you know Ann Riverson?
I did, yes. Yeah, Ann and I had the same editor for a while. She asked if I knew Ann Rivers Siddons. Yeah, you know, people always think we're all at cocktail parties together. Most of the time we're home, slaving over a hot typewriter. But yeah, Ann and I had when I started out, Ann and I had the same editor. And then, and it was the same editor also that Celestine Sibley had. And so that's how I got published originally. I was working at the Atlanta Constitution, and I was dear friends with Celestine, and she knew I was writing in secret. And she took my manuscript to her editor at HarperCollins and tried to browbeat him into buying it. He didn't buy the first one, but he did buy the second one. Yeah, we lost some really dear Southern authors this past year. We lost Anne, and then we lost Dottie Frank. So that's been sad. Yeah, yeah, that was very sad. Someone else. I saw somebody. Yes, you had a question.
I know this week's going to have Kwame Alexander, and I just think it's great you're bringing in middle grades, children.
Yes, yeah, we have Kwame Alexander. Yes, we have Kwame Alexander will be our guest Wednesday night. Patty Henry will be hosting him. We haven't done a lot of children's book authors, but I think we'll try to slide in some more. We really try to think about what kinds of authors our members want, who they want to hear from that they haven't heard from. And we're trying to bring in some debut novelists. There's a fabulous Atlanta author, Colleen Oakley, whose book was The Disappearing Husband of Frick Island this past year. If you haven't read it, it's so good. It's so good. Colleen Oakley, and she's been on the show. We're hoping to get a debut novelist. Her name is Wanda Morris. She's another African-American author. She's going to have a big hit thriller coming out this winter, and we're hoping to get her on, and she also lives locally. So the crazy, amazing thing is we've got this huge community, mostly of women authors in the Atlanta area. Yes, in the back. Yes, we've had Nancy Thayer. In fact, my husband and I finally took a vacation in July. We went to Nantucket, and we did the trifecta of Nantucket authors. So we had dinner at Ellen Hildebrand's house. We had drinks at Nathaniel Philbrick's house, and lunch with Nancy Thayer and her husband. So Nancy's been on the show, yeah. And Nat's been on the podcast. If you haven't read, if you like nonfiction, narrative nonfiction, Nat Philbrick writes amazing books. His newest one is Travels with George, and he retraces George Washington's trip all through the colonies after he became president. And so it's a great book, and we love Nat on the show. Yeah. Somebody else? You guys are so quiet tonight. I swear it's not church. Yes. Yes.
So you usually write books about two different states, Florida and Georgia.
Yes.
Do you write a book based on some other state?
She was saying that most of my books had been set in Florida and Georgia, where I've lived, but I've also set, I think, 3 books in North Carolina, where we also lived. I like to know the setting of my book. I want to know it and understand it. We lived in Raleigh for 3 years, but I didn't write a book set in North Carolina until we moved back to Atlanta. So I might write a fish out of water story. set someplace else. I don't know if my readers will put up with it. She'd still be a Southern girl. She would just be a fish out of water. Anybody else? No more questions? Let's sell some books. Oh, no, we're going to raffle off prizes, right? Okay. Lori Esser. Lori Esser? Right back there.
The prize is over there. Thank you.
Okay, and you're going to do the rest?
You're right over there.
Okay.
Mary Kay's book will be discussed if you would like to join us on December 21. So just go to the library webpage and you'll see under adult programming that there's the virtual book club that we have. We have many in person, but this one is virtual, and we'll be talking about tonight's book. And everyone's welcome to join us, so it's via Zoom. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and for your patience. Mary Kay is a faithful supporter of this library, and we're very grateful to her. She is quite brave. She is willing to sit down and personalize your books for you. They were all signed, so you don't need to wait in line if you don't want to, but if you would like to do that, she's welcomes you to do that. You can just stand beside her, pull your face mask down quickly, and shoot a quick picture if you want. A sincere thank you to our wonderful new supporters, the members of the Duluth Fine Arts League. Yes, thank you. Especially the two project managers, Gigi Getz and Ann Mulley, who did all of that work for us. And many members of the Duluth Fine Arts League, or DFAL, are with us tonight. So thank you for coming out. We're very, very grateful that you choose to support the literary arts as well as all the fine painters and sculptors we in the city of Duluth are blessed to have. Thank you to our independent bookstore, Eagle Eye Bookshop. Authors would not come if they were not bookstores. And to the Friends of the Gwinnett County Public Library.